Assalamu alaikum and welcome to the Madam Luke's. My name is Sim. Along with me are my co-hosts, Sheikh Amir.
Assalamu alaikum.
And Mort.
Assalamu alaikum.
Happy New Year. Is that a haram, Sheikh?
That's bid'ah, bro.
Belated.
Belated?
Yeah.
That's okay? Saying belated?
I don't know. Is it? Is that against our culture?
We, as Muslims, only have two Eids.
Two Eids.
Eid al-Adha and Eid al-Fitr.
Yeah, bro. Mort just got charged up by his sheikh.
I'm Salafi, bro.
He
You
ain't
can't say
having- he
you
ain't-
can't say Happy New Year's to me, bro. It doesn't work.
Did you guys have any resolutions for the year?
I don't know.
I don't
Start
really think
gaining
about
more
those
weight.
things.
Make money?
No, did you make any resolutions?
My resolution, at least, is when you're at the gym, I hope that everyone else's New Year's resolution fails at the gym so that there's enough room for me again.
You know
that
that
usually happens.
You know,
No,
gyms,
Like they say,
gyms
gym
plan
memberships
that.
go up like for the
Yeah.
first month, and then
Yeah.
2 months, and then by the second quarter, it's all empty.
Yeah.
But I want it to happen as soon as possible.
Why are you having trouble at the gym?
Yeah.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I don't like people taking up
No,
the
no.
workout.
I mean, are you facing that trouble where you can't find an open space to work out?
Not just open space. The parking lot is packed.
Oh,
Yeah, it's
Actually,
very. It's
the
actually
Lifetime
real.
one?
It's real. Like
Yeah.
All gyms. That happens in all gyms. Even Planet Fitness.
I'm like, I just came back from the gym a couple hours ago, and I was like, it's a Saturday, and your parking lot's packed. So that was quite frustrating for me to walk
Yeah. Saturday
all the way
nights.
to the door.
Saturday
to work
night's
out.
the best time to work
I don't
out.
want to do any extra walking while working out.
can a brother just work out?
Yeah. I usually get like the front row seat, like parking slot. You know.
So what do you do when you go to the gym?
The same thing. Put
Warm
it there,
up, warm up.
lifting.
I mean, is it lifting? Are you doing
What's your
cardio?
warm-up, dude? He
Like,
wants to know
what's
your detailed
Oh, the
thing.
Yeah,
detail?
yeah, like, what are you doing? I
So
wanna know.
I just do some whichever muscle group that I have dedicated for that day
Mm-hmm.
for about like 25 minutes, and then I do Stairmaster for about 10 minutes, maybe sometimes 15 minutes, depending on the energy levels, and then do some cardio
Nice.
on the treadmill. So about round it out to an hour.
Yeah, I think that's a good thing for guys like our age. Like, don't do more than an hour. Like, 'cause then it gets you overwork. But I found something that's even better. Do like 2 days of full body workout. Space them out.
Awesome.
Like Monday and like Thursday, right? Or whatever. Tuesday and Friday, whatever it is, right? But every other day in between, you're doing cardio, like 30 minutes of cardio. But in that full body workout, though, you got to do like minimum of 12 exercises. So you've got to, and the idea is to do like 2 sets, but high reps, like 20. So like let's say you'll do like, you're doing biceps, right? Pick up a weight that you can do 20 times for 2 sets. And so you can either do it all one time or do 2 rounds of it. So you're going to do a total of like, let's say you do 12 minimum, you can do like 24 exercises, right? Within like 45 minutes. Like try to
45
time,
minutes is good.
yeah, try to
That's
time
nice.
yourself so you're not wasting. You have minimal break, and so you'll be. But the trick is that you're gonna have to make sure you hit all the muscle groups, right? Like your legs, your core, all parts of your lower body, upper body, back, biceps, chest, everything. And then the idea is that you just let your body heal, but you can do basic cardio for the next like 3 or 4 days in between your heal. Then you come back even stronger. And you'll notice that your body heals, and you'll notice much more progress.
Yeah.
I've noticed that personally. Like I can bench stronger, lift more, I can heal. I mean, all that. And
And that's actually all you need, bro. Like for us, Zahabi, his advice I love the best. He's like, if you're gonna work out every day, just go 60%. 60%, but just do it every day. If you're gonna work out every day, because you're not gonna get good adequate
because
recovery,
you're never.
especially after the age of 35. He's like, it's gonna be pointless.
So
for some
the thing is
people.
that people don't realize
Just
that.
gonna be injuring
I've
yourself.
come to realize this too. Is that, for the effort that you put into work out to break muscle, you need, if not the same time, if not double, to recuperate it, because you actually grow when you're resting. Like, yeah, you'll have a pump when you're in the gym,
Yeah.
but that growth doesn't stay. It's only just pumped up at that moment. But like an hour later, it's not going to be as pumped anymore. But the growth that you're going to see, The muscle building happens when you're recuperating.
Yeah, that's why sleep is really important. Like if you work out and then you go to sleep at like 2 a.m., you're not going to recover properly. You got to go to sleep at least.
And that's why I say the more rest days you get, because more than likely most people are not going to be sleeping at 10 p.m.
Bro. Take those naps.
Yeah, but most people are not going to be sleeping at 10 p.m., 8 p.m., right? So if you can allow yourself more rest time in between those 2 power workouts that you do, 2 full body, you'll get a complete rest, a complete healing, and your muscles will grow, provided you have a good nutrition, you're eating the proteins you need. But that's what I noticed. I mean, and it makes it easier because if you're lifting every day, you're like, oh man, I don't want to lift today. Yeah. And it's nice because
you get prone to a lot more injuries too.
And none of that, like okay, I have 2 hard days, like an hour, and then the other days is just 30 minutes. Yeah. And that 30 minutes just goes by quick, right?
And not only that, even if you can't do cardio, just walk for half an hour.
I'm saying walking 30 minutes, that's cardio,
hour, bro. Yeah,
right? Dude. But I try to do something. I would say that while walking is great for weight loss, but like Stairmaster and some type of, you want cardiovascular, like you want to pump your muscles and your heart and get that blood forcefully flowing through your body.
Stairmaster is one of those things, bro. Like me personally, if I do Stairmaster, I can't do it. Like I have to be listening to something or watching something, and it's one of those things, bro. It'll test your brain, bro. It'll test your like mental.
To be honest, I've gotten to a point where, I mean, I hold on to the bars too, but I could do an hour. I mean, if I do it, yeah. But I mean, because what happens is that in the first it's like running, right? Like in the first 10 minutes, once you break that
everything goes numb. Yeah.
It's not that it goes numb. You end up, your body is like a machine, right? It finds its rhythm. And then once you get in that rhythm, then your breathing is right, your movement's right, you're in the right position, and then it just becomes automatic. Yeah. Right?
No, I've never done it with Stairmaster. I've done it with jogging. After like 20 minutes, then everything goes numb, and then you could just keep moving and nothing really happens. But Stairmaster, bro, I don't think I've ever done more than like 20 minutes.
It's the same thing. And 9 out of 10 times, it's going to be the breathing. Yeah. You need to get enough oxygen while you're doing it, and it'll help you. Because a lot of times what people complain about is the exertion. Like, oh, my muscles are tired. I feel the burn. It's hard for me to move. It's a lot of the times it's breathing. They don't take enough because they're just focused on getting the steps in, right? They're not actually doing the breathing. So, anyways, but yeah, that's good, man.
Yeah, man. We are also doing a lot of Sira review in my household. Going through that with the kids, and I can't stress this enough with everyone. It's something that I learned just going through the Sira with my kids this week. Every day, we open up Martin Lings's and Yasir Qadhi's Sira book, and I found those and Revelation. Remember the brother that we had interviewed a long time ago, who wrote the book Revelation? Yeah. It's like a textbook almost with maps and everything. Really good book. Yeah, like really
the graphs and maps are awesome.
So we're kind of utilizing different books, and I can't stress this enough. Like, there's things I've read the Sira so many times, but you have to continually revise it, or else you're going to forget things, especially like the lineage and stuff, and realizing, especially what Martin Lings does incredibly well, is show you how connected everyone is in the Quraysh, in the leadership of the Quraysh, how like everyone's relationships are, and how everyone that you know or that is mentioned, for example, the Khadija's cousin,
Waraqa
bin Nawfal, and his sister had actually proposed to the Prophet's dad, Abdullah, because she knew that he had something to do with prophethood, because she's like because her and her brother were worshipping one God, and they knew that the idol worship was wrong, and they were expecting a prophet to come soon. And many of the Christians, or the rightly guided Christians,
even the Jews, they
were expecting a prophet to come. Yeah, and even the Jews. And one of the amazing things is you realize, like, wow, all these people are just so connected, and why. Something I was stressing to my kids was that Prophet Muhammad, when he came to them about this message, it was such a huge blow to them, because they have such respect for him, but he's also, he's Al-Amin and has all this respect that he carries with him, but he's also so entrenched and connected to the leadership of the Quraysh. I mean, just Banu Hashim being in charge of the protectors of the Kaaba themselves, having that responsibility in itself is such a huge honor and such a
the nobility.
It carries so much weight.
Yeah.
That it, and when we were learning Sirah when we were kids, it starts off with the days of Jahiliyyah, and then you're like, oh my God, I'm already falling asleep. In Arabia, there's all these different tribes, and you're just like falling asleep. So, if anyone, I know many of you guys who are listening, you kind of send your kids to Sunday school and stuff like that, and that's great, but you can't delegate it to just Sunday school. They just don't go through it with the passion, and it's just the connection, the bond that you have with your kids while studying this. You really feel like the energy and electricity. They have such a good time.
So,
Yeah.
since you said they have such a good time, like, what's your method? Because every family and every people, they have like a different way. Do you guys just open and read it and explain it, or like what do you do?
So what I do is I have them read a little bit. Martin Lings' English is difficult. Okay, he's a guy who loved Shakespeare, and my kids are a little over 12, so they can read it, but there are some areas they struggle, okay? And that's okay. That's why you're there to tell them, like, hey, look, don't worry if you don't understand something, write something down. And because everyone's on winter break, so just they have enough time to read 5 chapters. And the good thing about that book as well is that they're all short chapters. So they're like 5 chapters a day. Each one of the kids reads 5 chapters, and we go through all the.
So you have them kind of work on it like a project type
during
thing,
the day,
and then presentation,
and then after Maghrib, we go through it. Like, I'll literally read not every single page, but like all the important passages, right? And then we'll kind of connect it and make sure that we're all in sync, right? So that we all understand it the same way.
Yeah. I'll say something like,
say
you guys know my my dad isn't doing too well, and it's just conversations of facing mortality, right? Like his mortality, and Allah Alam how long he has left, but thinking about these moments, like you're saying, how do you make it fun? And sometimes it's not going to be fun.
Yeah.
And I look at that with my own dad, like being forced to read Quran. Yeah, at that time I didn't like it. At that time it wasn't fun. But when I look back at it now, and I'm like, I couldn't be more grateful for those moments. Like right now, with my dad's, on the verge of passing away, like it doesn't matter how much money he made, doesn't matter what car he brought me, doesn't matter what house we lived in. The biggest thing that he gave me was that Islamic education and instill those values in me. And even now, while he's on a deathbed and I'm reading Quran to him, I remind him, I say, hey Dad, you taught me this.
Allahu Akbar.
Like, and those moments that they will not appreciate it right now, but when they get older and they have kids, or they're in the moment where they're reflecting on their life and your life, those are going to be those moments that they're going to thank Allah that they had a parent who cared.
Yep.
A parent who actually invested time into them with an investment that could never be repaid in this world.
Yeah.
Like everything else in this world, especially when you're facing mortality of someone you love, everything else seems inconsequential. Money doesn't matter. The house doesn't matter. The vacations don't matter. The clothes, all the things don't matter, because at the moment, like when you're crossing that line from this dunya to the akhirah, there's only a few things that you take with you. All right, and those are your deeds, and then beyond that, it's your jariyah that you take with you, right? But then, like for me, and I thank God, because like in that moment, like let's say when in your life, when we pass on, like when your children, they know they'll be able to benefit you because you taught them something that continues to go on. It's more than money. It's more than inheritance. It's more than any of these things, right? And that benefits them and it benefits you.
It's the best investment.
And it's the best investment. And they will learn. And the point why I'm mentioning this is because we hated having to get up Saturday morning and okay, first you have to read Quran before you do anything else. Do this every morning. It's how it started. We dreaded it, right? Oh man. But I look back and not only before his mortality, it's like okay. As I got a little bit older, I'm like, you know what? Alhamdulillah, I can read Quran. People can't read.
Yeah.
Alhamdulillah, I can read through it very quickly. I can finish the Quran easy. It's easy for me. Alhamdulillah. But now it's like, man, you can't quantify.
Yeah.
Like if you,
there's multiple things happening at the same time.
And you think back at your father and you're like, man, that's the thing that mattered the most. Right? That's the thing that really made the difference. Because what good is everything else if you don't have any attachment to your religion, if you don't know who you are as a Muslim, if you don't know where you're coming from? All of that is irrelevant.
No, I remember that even your cousins talk about that. Like if they spend the night at your house, your dad used to make sure everyone had to read Quran and they couldn't get out of it, right?
And they hated it.
Yeah. No, and look, bro, that's why there's that delayed onset of appreciating knowledge and ilm. Our parents used to make us do things at the moment, and that's why, yeah, it's cool. You have to try to make things fun. That's awesome. But if they're not having fun also, you have to realize, okay, at least they have it there. I have to keep reminding them as long as they still have a relationship with Allah. While they may be bored with some of this stuff, and then there's going to be a tipping point for them, especially when they have responsibility, especially have to go out in the world, they start having kids or someone's going to ask them questions. Sometimes it just comes to them like that. I've seen that with my kids, even though they're little. I see somebody ask them a question, and I taught them something a year ago, but they just recall it like that. And I'm like, alhamdulillah, bro, it's there. It's stored there. But when it actually flourishes is when responsibility takes place.
And I think to his point, I mean, there's no replacement for the engagement of a father or a mother in the parent's life. 100%. You can have Sunday school and, the teachers and programs. Those are great supplementary things. They help in the tarbiyah. But that has to come from you as a parent.
Yeah.
Like and you as a parent are able to recognize the areas where they're getting stuck. Like, for example, they're getting confused between Muttalib and Abu Talib. Abdul Muttalib, because again, you got to remember, these kids are native English speaking kids.
Yep.
This is not something that they'll quickly catch up on, and just having those consonants in those words, the M and the T and the B, having those crosswire, and they get things confused, and you can easily identify problems or areas where they're getting stuck at or getting confused between, and quickly help them compartmentalize different areas of knowledge much more cleanly, having them take notes on things that are really important so that they will have areas where they can pivot from when they need to recall information. It's really important that you just can't. The idea that you're just going to relegate everything off to a Sunday school or some other teacher, you got to put that away. You have to be an active parent.
Yeah. And
you have to be involved in every.
But look, people
decision.
think that when people think about teaching, sometimes these things, dude, sometimes they don't know, and you have to learn. You have to be at this level of, you know what, I'm just gonna have to learn with them the stuff I don't know. Like, you have to be able to tell your kids, listen, we're gonna do this together. That's the first part, right? Yeah. Because, dude, not everybody knows everything about the seerah. Yeah. You read sometimes basic seerah books, you're like, wow, this is profound. I didn't even think about it that way, because in an elementary language. But you have to be able to do that with them. But it's not about responsibility. You're their teacher. It's not that. It's building a relationship with your children, something that every parent wants to do that. Yeah. One of the biggest regrets is I didn't spend enough time with my kids, or as their years go, you see them getting older. But why not spend time with them instead of being a teacher to them, and think of it as spending time with them and learning with them together, because that's going to build another. Dude, you know how many conversations come about when you discuss seerah and you make these connections to what's happening today, or what happened to your family, or whatever the case is. So it's not don't be intimidated, for our listeners, that I have to teach them seerah. It's such a big project. No, just learn with them. That's all you got to do, and just be with them. That's it. And sometimes you're going to learn from your kids, bro. You can't act like you know everything either.
Yeah. Actually, what they will tell you is that you can't ever read the seerah and say, okay, I read it enough.
Yeah.
You're always going to benefit from it, right? So the best way to teach others is, or to retain memory, is to teach others.
Yes, sir. Best
right?
way.
So, for example, if you read something, the best way to retain that is to explain it to somebody else.
Yeah. Yes, sir.
And you have the perfect audience. You have your kids who are willing to listen to you,
Yeah.
who admire you.
And you know what? If you have a group of kids or just even a couple kids love to be the ones who know something, right? So you can have, sometimes you get exhausted from explaining some stuff, and you can have them explain, okay, you explain it to her,
Yes,
or
sir.
she explains it to him, and you have them crystallizing it in their mind.
And you empowered them.
Yeah, and it's so important to use multiple sources, especially when you're teaching Sierra. Sierra is not an easy thing to teach, especially because we don't have any kind of movies and stuff like that, and the areas or avenues of creativity are so limited, especially because we can't write it like a book, like we can't make up dialogue, is what I'm trying to say. You can't say, at least as an author, when he's trying to explain something, he can't make up words and dialogue between characters, because these are all real characters, and this is considered sacrilege. Even if you're not, because I was thinking about how they could write a better Sierra book, just like Martin Lings's book, but more easier in the way kids can read it, especially teenagers. And it's a very difficult process, because you just don't have that room for creativity between characters, because you don't have the language, or you don't have the exact phrases that they've used. So it's tricky. So that's why, for example, kids don't know what hijaz is, right? Most 12, 13-year-olds, and Martin Lings's book, he's using terms like hijaz, and they get confused, like, wait, what's hijaz? Like, explain to me. We know Arabia, we know Saudi Arabia, you would kind of explain that, okay, we know Mecca and Medina, so you have to explain what hijaz is. And you have to really keep a sharp eye on words that can get them stuck from it. It's again, Revelation, that was a book, I'm trying to remember the author's name. I'll put in the show notes, but
Muhammad something,
Muhammad Assad? No,
No,
that was Road to Mecca.
because we interviewed him
Yeah.
at ISNA one time.
yeah,
Revelation, dude. I
right.
remember. Yeah.
I'll look it up in a second and tell you guys. And Martin Lings and Yasser Khadi's Sierra book that was just recently released.
Yeah.
So use those 3 books and kind of do your own homework before you start teaching your kids. That way, it'll just save you time.
So just to ask, I don't know, because I don't know about Sheikh Yasser Khadi's Sierra book. Is it basically a transcription of his YouTube videos?
Right.
Basically.
Yes.
Yeah, because I think he has the most extensive.
It's not a
Sierra.
complete transcription, but
Yeah, so I'm
it's
saying, like, even if you
organized.
need like a visual aid sometimes, that would be cool too. And even the sound of Sirah of Nader Thabata, that's great too. I mean, I got a chance to listen to a few episodes with my kids when we're driving in the car. It's nice, They have to get past some of the stuff, like the laugh in the beginning is fine, but after a while, it was like, wow, this is really profound.
Yeah.
Right? It's just like anything. But there's lots of sources out there. Make a playlist, get a few books, and bam, dude. And don't even overcomplicate it,
Yeah, absolutely, man. It's a challenge, but I think it's something that really will get your family going and really pull everyone together and have like a really lasting memory. Because I know some of the experiences that we've had over the past week, it just brought everyone really close together and left everyone really, really happy. And we weren't watching movies or anything, and it just made everyone so happy learning.
No, that's awesome.
Together. It was
That's
just
perfect.
something I really want to share with you guys.
And sometimes, like you say, you're doing a winter break. That's really important.
Yeah.
Just like, don't think if you're doing it during winter break that if you're not as consistent as you were in winter break, then you failed and your kids have failed you. That's not like. How awesome would it be that you can have fun during winter break and still remember it as a sirah? Because some parents may think, hey, we got to do this every day now or like every week. No, sometimes you just need those patches. Yeah. And that's enough, right? Because remember, to think of those delayed onset of learning in children. Yeah. We're all that way. All the stuff, like you see yourself raising your kids the way your parents raised your kids. And it was how many years later did it happen for you to realize you're basically like your parents, bro? You know what I'm saying? So it's the same exact thing. Those things it's going to be a delayed onset of learning. Don't expect changes right away. You're just planting the seed, and as experiences go on, hone their iman, bring it in, and little by little, it'll start manifesting, bro. And after that, it's up to Allah, bro. You just got to do your best.
Yeah. One of the funny things is when we were young, 18, 19, we're just hanging around some religious brothers, and I remember being in a bookstore, and I was holding Martin Lings's Life of the Prophet. Sheikh, what are you doing this? Why are you reading this Martin Lings's book? Oh. He hands me a Rahiq al-Makhtoum. Don't, because Martin Lings, I know why he said it, because after you read about Martin Lings, he was kind of in that perennial
He's
stuff.
a perennialist, yeah. As long as you know some of that and you can explain some of it, like there's obviously some issues in there. You're going to find issues in every Sierra book, almost, right?
But he does. I mean, you
read it for a certain reason.
He doesn't bring any perennialism in the book.
Exactly. I was going to mention that. I don't think that he espouses those beliefs or that narrative in the Sierra.
Yeah. And even look, there's some people, some legitimate scholars, who even said, look, if you're reading a Sierra book, every Sierra book stylistically is different. Martin Ling's book, read this one, just look out for some of these things right here, right? It doesn't have to do perennialism. I can't remember because this report I read like 20 years ago, but just read it for this specific, whatever. But look, every Sierra book is going to be different, and you're going to get a different benefit from each one, right?
Yeah.
But I think we could talk about this forever, and we can get deep into this, but... yeah, bro. Let's get this party started, man.
Yeah. So we started off the week. This past week, we found out about Israel making new decisions related to how, at least related to their war in Gaza and their onslaught and slaughter. We've been hearing murmurs and rumors about Israeli, the IDF getting slaughtered. They've been getting their butts handed to them all across Gaza, and they've started withdrawing their forces, and they've called it like a tactical change in their strategy towards Gaza. But we all know what the truth is.
Yeah.
The truth is that many hospitals, in just one of the hospitals in Israel, has reported over 1,000 casualties. So there's and this is just the Haaretz, Israeli Haaretz newspaper, probing one of the hospitals. There's many hospitals in the Gaza, in Israel, that are reporting so many casualties, and right now they're just saying 150 soldiers, which is complete garbage, and no one believes that. But what we are learning now is that they are changing their strategy, or at least having a tactical retreat. Because of the losses that they've incurred. Many of you guys have already seen the videos where the soldiers kind of pop out from their tunnels. The Palestinian resistance pops out from the tunnel. They go run over to a tank. They plant the bomb on the tank. By the way, this is important because we talked about this on a previous show, you have to plant the bomb on many of these tanks. Not all of these tanks, but many of these tanks have a trophy system, which is basically a system that prevents any kind of RPG bomb that is fired from a rocket propelled grenade from hitting the tank. So the first volley from an RPG gets demolished by an explosive charge that's coming from any direction. The second one will hit the tank. And one of the important things to also understand is that Israeli tanks hold about 10 personnel in them. So there's there are 12 total. 2 people who are driving the tank.
Yeah.
And then there's 10 people who are sitting in the back.
No, I think it's kind of like it's 4 and 4.
Is it 4 and 4?
Yeah.
Okay, so 10 total.
Yeah.
Right?
10 total.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that in itself, when they destroy a tank, that in itself is inflicting massive casualties to them.
Wow.
Yeah, and one thing you have to notice is that I don't know if you guys caught this investigation by Haaretz News, but they said that they could not get accurate numbers from the IDF about the number of soldiers that were being injured or dying. So what they did was they went into the local hospitals, the military hospitals, and they just started tallying. And they estimate, based on what they've seen, is that 67 to 70 soldiers per day are being severely injured on a daily basis.
Wow.
And why this is important is because a lot of the experts in Israel are saying we're going to walk into Gaza within 2 weeks. We're going to decimate it. We're going to have full control of Gaza. We're going to annex it. We're going to do this. We're going to flood the tunnels. But in reality, the mission has become very difficult.
Do you think they actually believed that though when they said that?
Yes.
Or it's just to make the people give them some
they wouldn't.
hope?
Look, Israel does not like to lose lives because the numbers game is big for them. They're a small population. They wouldn't. They are very calculated. They don't like to take unnecessary risk if they don't have to. The only way they would have moved in is if they thought they were going to have success.
Yeah,
and they miscalculated.
One of the fundamental things you have to understand about the Israeli thinking is that we've established throughout many episodes thus far, and through many of your own social media avenues that you've read, that the Israeli Defense Forces lies a lot, right? The Israelis in general, the state itself, operates on many lies. But what happens is that they have that saying in their Mossad, right? By way of deception, right? The problem is that when you have so many lies, your own interpretation of reality is corrupted because you're operating from those lies, and your own people start believing those lies. It's one thing where you lie, you send out a lie and you know it's a lie, but when you have uncontrolled lies, your entire reality gets distorted, and your own perception of your own strengths, of how your strength of military and its capabilities in Gaza will be skewed. You're going to think like, oh, we'll be able to destroy them, and the American generals left Israel before this thing, saying that these guys they're not listening to us. They want to do what they feel like doing. And
yeah, I mean, and also keep in mind that the repetitive lies, what it does is also prevents false information to their own intelligence communities. So it's hard to make accurate moves when you're being fed false information, right? Because you have to be able to trust the information that's coming to you. If you're getting faulty information, well, you're going to make bad decisions, right? And I think even now, I think Anthony Blinken came out recently and said that the U.S. has admitted that they cannot defeat Hamas. It's not something that Israel can do. And the reason why I want to mention this is because in order for Israel to declare victory, they have to meet their objectives, right? And right now, from what we can tell, there are only two objectives that we can identify. Number one was to destroy Hamas, and number two was to bring the hostages home, right? If these are the two objectives that we use to gauge whether Israel has won or is winning the war, and those are the only two that we can identify, then as it appears right now, they've lost because they have been unable to defeat Hamas and they have been unable to retrieve all their hostages. In fact, they have harmed their hostages. Actually, narratives coming from their hostages that were released are actually countering the narrative that they're saying, to the point where they don't want them to speak about it, to the point where the Israeli citizens believe that Israel is actually endangering the hostages more than Hamas is. And public opinion is not on the Israeli side.
And even to the point, who's from the I forgot which group it was that motioned a lawsuit against Israel.
South Africa.
No, but there's a group of Israelis also.
Oh, I'm not
Israel.
sure about that. I didn't know.
It's called, I think it's Israel against the Israeli people against Israel or something. I saw some headlines.
I mean,
about it, but
there are many groups within the Israeli faction, a faction within the Israeli government or population that do not like Netanyahu.
Yeah.
And especially when it was uncovered and admitted by the IDF that they shot 3 Israelis who were actually holding white flags, and the entirety of the IDF mistaken them for combatants. It's a shame. I mean, this is a country that boasts about having immense security protocols and intelligence operations.
Accuracy.
And they were unable to identify that these were Israelis that with white flags on, and that really set the crowd in emotion, on top of the fact that reports came out that, well, since they were feared being overrun by Hamas, they authorized the usage of attack helicopters and launching of rockets against the kibbutzes, or kibbutzim, whatever they call them, and they would have intentionally harmed civilians, right? And all of this information is coming out and documented, and this is exacerbating like the tension between the Israeli population and the government.
So the reason why we're kind of establishing this is because it plays into the next strategy or some of the next actions that have happened with how Israel is taking the direction. We heard about the Hamas commander that's been killed in Beirut, Israel, and then we heard about some level of engagement with the Iranians. I'm not sure if my personal belief is that this whole ISIS thing, that ISIS was the one that bombed Qasim Soleimani memorial. That's just a cover story. I think it was the Israelis who did it. I think Israel, I truly feel that Israel is wanting America to get involved in another war because they know they can't defeat this
100%.
They are getting crushed just by little old Hamas. Okay, they can drop as many bombs as they want, but they can't have any meaningful ground invasion, right? Without U.S. intervention, and they're coming to this realization. At least their top brasses, right? They're thinking that, okay, well, if we can't do this, we're going to need the Americans involved, and we're going to need their boots on the ground. But how do we do that? We get Iran to respond to our actions. They're going to create some kind of problems or some kind of assassinations, targeted killings to provoke Iran to attack Israel. And that will bring the U.S. into a full-on assault, right?
So I don't know how you feel about this, but I don't think Iran, as much as I don't like them, but I don't think they're that dumb.
They're not. No, they're not going to do it. That's why they haven't.
Yeah.
They haven't responded.
Even when the U.S. assassinated Qasim Soleimani, they did nothing. And now you got the number 2 in Syria, whatever it was, right? You think they're going to act any differently? No, they're all about taking controlled strategic operations, right? They don't want to just, because they know they're at a disadvantage. They know that they're up against something much larger than them, and they are intelligent in that regard, meaning they understand how this war game plays out. They prefer to run the game of proxies, right? For example, okay, you kill one of ours. Okay, well, we're gonna ramp up the Houthis in the Red Sea and make your economy suffer. And that's what they've been doing. I mean, I think somewhere in the neighborhood of like $30 billion so far it's costing them like exponentially, because they have to go around to go to South Africa. They can't go through the Red Sea anymore at this moment, and that's hemorrhaging money at this moment, right? And so they can just, and I think Iran is smart in that sense, where they're going to say, okay, well, we have proxies across the world and different areas. We're going to leverage them to make life difficult for our enemies, right? And that's what they're going to do. There's no way I see Iran actually engaging in a full-out war with any of these countries.
Israel also has a history of doing this, of trying to get the U.S. into their wars. They attacked the USS Liberty in the 60s.
1963 or 64, something like that, yeah. And they tried to blame Egypt for that.
And they tried to blame Egypt. And they said, the Egyptians are bombing your aircraft carrier. And it turned out not to be the Egyptians, it turned out to be the Israelis. And they made America made an excuse for Israel, like, there was a mistaken identity and stuff like that. And just Google U.S. Liberty and it's.
And by the way, veterans of that who survived that, actually, some people, they were like, no, there's no way this could be mistaken. Like, we communicated who we were. There was communications back and forth. We identified as an American vessel. Like, it wasn't. There's no way they could have mistaken us for being a target.
Because look, at the end, Israel has to do what's best for Israel in their mind. We have to do whatever we can. We got these people on our side, And I don't know if it's premature to talk about this, but one of the ways that they get America to do what they need America to do is through blackmail. They have to. It's one of the tactics that they use because they're very good at deception.
Yeah.
Well,
Right?
I think that's segueing into something else as well,
Yeah.
too. And this kind of ties into the whole Epstein fiasco.
Where do you start?
To be honest, it's hard to keep up with a lot of
Yeah.
what's going on because there are a lot of names on the list.
Yeah.
And not every name means that they're involved in something because a lot of people visited this high profile person. This man had money. He had other initiatives like weird things like eugenics he wanted to do, and he wanted to, mingle with the with elites and people in Hollywood and in academia and so forth and so on. Like I believe even Noam Chomsky is on that list, who visited, Epstein or had.
He met Epstein.
Yeah, Epstein, right?
Epstein, yeah.
But I think one thing becomes abundantly clear, and that is that there is some Mossad involvement, either as an operational level or at least coordination with what Epstein was doing. There is a lot of evidence to suggest that this was being used as an operation to gather damning information that could be used to blackmail influential people into supporting Israeli causes and agenda or Israeli interest. There was a leak recently about an Israeli spy that was caught in America. His name was Pollard. He is probably one of the biggest espionage operations against America. And he was caught, indicted, and this was during the Bill Clinton era. And I think sentenced to like 40 years in jail or 30-something years. And there's reports that have come out in books about the event stating that Netanyahu tried to leverage the Monica Lewinsky tape against Bill Clinton before it had even been released.
Mm-hmm.
And that makes you obviously put two and two together and say, well, how did they get access to this information? Especially when you see the connection between Epstein and Monica Lewinsky and Bill Clinton, right? And you see these connections that you see, you put the dots together and you say, well, was Israel leveraging, are they creating these opportunities for themselves to gain compromising information on individuals in order to control them? And I don't think it would be far-fetched to say yes.
Yeah, no, that's what I was telling these guys on the group. In other conversations that I had about the book By Way of Deception that we had mentioned multiple times, it's literally one of the playbooks that's inside of the book of how the Mossad works, is getting high-profile people and who's the other guy? Prince Andrew, right? They literally, there's recordings and writings and emails of Epstein and other of his confidants referring to him as one of the foolish or one of the idiots that's just an easy target, right? They refer to them as targets, right? And what if, and this is how crazy this is imagine that Epstein invites all these influential politicians, even Hollywood actors and stars, to this island. He convinces them to come there. He gives them everything that they can imagine. They know what weaknesses some of these people have, and sometimes dangling things in front of them, and that's where where a lot of these underage things happen. Imagine him coming into a party with Miley Cyrus when she's 15 years old, right? Epstein, right? And so imagine him setting up all these cameras everywhere. He was known for setting up cameras, and it wasn't obviously only his setup. And this is where the Mossad thing comes in, is where when they're on their way out and he's escorting them out from the island, he says to them, hey, by the way, I need you to do this for me. I need you to do this for me. I need you to do this for me. This is a last conversation we're going to have before you can do this for me. They're like, no, we can't do that. He's like, are you sure you don't want to do that? I have you doing this. He has all these and told them how he backed it up and who has all the copies, and strong arming them into in his own interests. And now where you're talking about as far as speculation and how much evidence is needed was he actually working for the Mossad? And that's what people are outright saying, right?
Well, his confidant or the associate, Ghislaine
His wife.
Ghislaine Maxwell, his girlfriend.
His
Yeah.
wife.
Was his girlfriend?
Wife.
Yeah.
She was the daughter of a well-known
Yeah.
Mossad agent named Robert Maxwell.
Yep.
Yep.
And whose attorney happens to be Blinken's stepfather.
Yeah. So Anthony Blinken, as everybody knows, is the Secretary of State of the United States. Blinken's stepfather was Samuel Pizarro. Pizarro was a longtime lawyer and confidant of Robert Maxwell. Robert Maxwell was a Mossad spy who had the biggest funerals in Israel's biggest funeral in Israel's history. Robert Maxwell was the father of how do you pronounce her name? Ghislaine Maxwell. Ghislaine, whatever it is, was the wife of Jeffrey Epstein. And he was a very, very valuable asset, according to many people of the Mossad. And they helped him run this child sex trafficking ring. And he has all this information about Mort. Has all this information about all of these. Now, the next thing is I want to get your guys' take on this.
But hold on before we get there. Sim, did you know that Ghislaine Maxwell, that she was known on Reddit? You know, they have like a super award for being like the most like commenter or like whatever or supporter of like the forum, whatever. Like she got that back in the day. Like she was like top. She used to,
which subreddit?
I don't know all of it. Just look it up real quick. Anyways, she got some kind of award for being like the most like.
She was very active on Reddit for pro-Israeli stuff and changing the narrative.
Not only that. No, hold on. Let me just look it up. But listen, the point being is that like she used to use a alternate name. No one knew it was a woman or man. No one knew who it was. But
there's
I'll pull it up right now. But I was surprised to find out like that she was known for like this. But yeah, anyways, go ahead.
So even like he looks like Epstein went to Mar-a-Lago, right? And he was starting to hit on one of the politician's daughters there or something, and Trump actually kicked him off the island. He's like, yeah, we don't do that over here type thing. So when they say that he had a relationship and he had a conversation with Trump, yeah, he did. That's one of the conversations, right? Yeah. That he actually, so Trump is on record of actually one of the few politicians that kicked him out of Mar-a-Lago, like physically, you got to get out of here. But when you go into Epstein's mansion in his island, like imagine when you go in one of the main entrances, you see Bill Clinton in a woman's dress and high heels in a painting, right?
Yeah.
Because he did that actually. Some say one of the analyses is that he made an example out of Clinton for everyone that came there, and it was like his way of like stabbing him every time somebody came in, and Clinton had to look at that picture too. And Bill Gates' wife, actually, she heard everything about this guy, and she told Bill Gates, okay, I want to meet him. So she finally convinces Bill Gates, by the way, who met him multiple times. He just said, like, I had dinner with him, and she asked, like, how do you reconcile that? That reporter that asked him, it's like, oh, well, he's dead now, so that's that. That's all he had to say, right? But his wife, Bill Gates' wife, met Epstein. And she said, I met him, and just by talking at him, looking at him, he was the embodiment of evil, and I got chills just by looking at him.
Wow.
That's his wife on record saying that. And then they ask her, this reporter asks Bill Gates' wife, so did you ever get a chance to discuss that with your husband? She said, yeah, but, you're going to have to ask him. That's like his relationship with him. You're going to have to ask. So she's like, for whatever reason, like indirectly, passively threw him under the bus. But that's what people recognized of him. They're like, dude, this guy's like some evil satanic individual. And you get these crazy vibes from him. But nonetheless, now comes the point is it possible that this war, this is a theory now, that the Mossad is able to strong arm the United States because they've already lured in all these politicians, have them on video, doing all types of acts and pictures of them. And America got onto the train of referring to Israel as a genocide.
Yeah.
So Israel's like, oh, you want to call this a genocide now? We're going to release these little by little. So is it actually that? Can it actually be that?
I think it's not one. I think what we're seeing is one tentacle of the octopus.
Yes.
We're not seeing the entire picture of how deeply ingrained Zionism has made its way into Western society. Because it doesn't it doesn't add up because there's not one avenue of exploiting human weaknesses, right? This is just women. There's other weaknesses that man has: power, wealth, greed, all these different vectors to exploit people and make sure they have dirt on them and make sure to leverage your power over them, right? So ultimately, this is just one tentacle or a few of the tentacles that they are employing against many politicians and
but they
many
use a
people.
very
Yeah.
strong buzzword of child traffickers that American politicians and Hollywood celebrities and actors
Yeah.
were involved in. You know, like even like Leonardo DiCaprio's name came up in these reports that they release and names
Yeah.
they release, and many other actors. But it's like it's literally just throwing out one at a time, right? As far as the tentacles you're referring to, and they started off with child trafficking, right? And they're utilizing all the people that they know that they have on record, what would be constituted as child trafficking, and they're just throwing out little by little, piecemeal, right?
Yeah.
And it's them now strong arming. But look how crazy this relationship is. You need to have a good understanding and your foothold in the Middle East. Who's better than Israel? Israel, you take them upon, they're basically under your wing now, and you foster them. They're like your son, but your son is reckless and he gets all this crazy information about you too.
Yeah.
Because he needs to be fully insured. And rest assured that just in case something goes south, that you pull out and you're not going to help them out anymore or do what you want them to do, you have to have all these other avenues of evidences
Yeah.
in order to strong them. So my main question after saying all that is it possible that America got dragged into this far into this war because of Epstein's files?
No.
You don't think so?
No, I don't. I know. I think it doesn't take just one list. These are just, again, areas of how the Israelis are leveraging influence over American institutions, American individuals, or even just the West in general, Europe included. I think we get a better idea, at least when you look at the individuals named on that list, of the various types of people who were released. And I think if we look at it right now, here we go. Okay. Here's this is the Independent who gathered all the names from the court documents.
Can you get rid of that video? But are you able to X out of that, or is it going to click something else?
Here we go. There we go.
You know who's not on the list? Barack Obama. Maybe he wasn't such a bad guy
Hey, who
after all.
Barack is, though.
So, okay, topping the list, Ghislaine Maxwell, obviously. Next is Prince Andrew, Bill Clinton, Donald Trump, Hillary Clinton, wow, David Copperfield, John Connolly, some sort of New York police detective, Alan Dershowitz. This guy is someone who, if you don't know,
Scumbag.
he's an attorney who is responsible for many high-profile cases representing everyone from O.J. Simpson to, I think, was he involved with Charlie Manson too? All kinds of different high-profile,
lot of
horrible individuals. He loves representing horrible individuals, and one of those horrible entities is the State of Israel, whom he is a huge defender and someone who
He's actually
argues-
written a book about the case for Israel and all those things like
Right,
that he's
right.
make. And not only that, he is, as those of you may know, South Africa has brought forth claims and allegations against Israel, and he's going to be the lawyer defending Israel.
So going back to the list here, we got Leonardo DiCaprio, who
Al
famous
Gore.
actor, Al Gore,
Stephen Hawking in a wheelchair.
Stephen Hawking's, who famous is he astrophysicist?
I
or-
went to Epstein Island.
Yeah,
Yeah.
something like that.
So he's a person who is apparently must have enjoyed some of the favors of Epstein Island.
He was wheeling around the island.
Michael Jackson. I don't know why that he was mentioned because he's been dead for a while. Marvin Minsky.
He was there as an excuse. No, that Ghislaine Maxwell basically had mentioned that because there was this whole report that came out, like she used to give a lot of these clients massages, right? And she was like, they asked her, like, no, I just saw like Michael Jackson, but no, I didn't give him a massage.
Yeah. So just to be very clear, not everybody on this list engaged in inappropriate activity, right? And of those people were like Michael Jackson, who didn't participate.
Yeah.
Keep in mind, these people had lots of money. They mingled with very wealthy people.
But the question more is, why are these names on there? Some of them are because he lured them in to make them subjects, but not all of them gave in.
Yeah, I mean, not all of them took the honeypot, right? And some of them, this is just, an example of the type of people that they were trying. Yeah. At least some were able to get, to be able to entrap, and some they were not able to, right?
But that was his job, to entice all these people to see what they can get on these people.
Kevin Spacey, George Lucas.
Do you think Kevin Spacey's thing had anything to do his Me Too? How he got Me Too?
Kevin Spacey has been someone who played the game, but he played ball with the Israelis and the American institutions. It's not like they're not making this list as someone who. Or as a way to punish people, but I think this list is just a list of people who they have, like who've enjoyed. And
this list is just scratching the surface. We don't be mistaken. This list that they allowed to be released is something. Just it's like a beginning of something, right?
Yeah.
And there was when I was listening to one of the podcasts, there was this name. All these names were released, but there was this consistent name that was always redacted. And people are trying to figure out, why are they redacting this one name?
They think it's Joe Biden.
Everything. They're trying to figure out who it is.
They think it's Joe Biden.
People have digitally tried to unredact. I don't even know if that's possible. You're a security guy. Mm-hmm. But is that even possible? And people have been trying to hack this redaction.
Here's the interesting part.
The mechanism they use. If it's like a black marker, you could wash it, or depends on the layers.
Because usually in court filings, it's usually the black market, right?
But nonetheless, it is a repetitive name. Like, who can be more important than all these presidents?
One thing to notice, though, is that the names that have been released, those individuals have been afforded the opportunity to make the case why their name shouldn't be released, and a lot of them didn't stop that. Clinton being one of them, he just didn't really care. It's like, all right, whatever. Possibly because they already knew he was on that list already, and there's a painting of him right in the main building. So maybe, and there's pictures of him all over. But so there are people who are, who definitely are trying to fight their name coming out.
Yeah, Bruce Willis is here. Cameron Diaz, famous actress. Let's see. Noam Chomsky.
Girl, Noam.
Do
you think Noam was trying to make dawah to him about Zionism?
No. So the people that they saw that were anti-Israeli, that were self-hating Israelis also, they tried to lure them in so they could stop talking about Israel also.
Yeah.
Right?
Oh, Robert Kennedy. RFK.
Yeah.
Ooh.
RFK Jr.
RFK. Wow. He shows up here. And is there any other noticeable name? Chris Tucker. Chris Tucker became like a hardcore Christian. The guy from Rush Hour?
Yeah, born again Christian.
Yeah, I was hoping to see him in more movies, but I followed up and found out that Chris Tucker is now a born again Christian, and he doesn't engage in any movies. And
I think stand up comedy without swearing anymore.
Well, I think if you had a heart and you visited Epstein Island, you probably would become religious again too.
And some of these are not also the ones who visited; they just had contact with him.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah.
Or maybe rode the plane or whatever it was.
Yeah.
Hopefully, our guy Noam Chomsky had nothing to do with any of the despicable things that happened on that island. Because one of the things that Epstein did was he funded a lot of people. Right, he did a lot of philanthropic work and gave them large donations and stuff. So you have to kind of what's it called, wax the wheel,
and who actually ends up owning an island? Look, people who we have to understand, where does he get his funding from, and how is he paying these people? Some people millions of dollars. Where is he getting this money from in the first place?
He was. He was a con man in terms of a lot of ways of how he got, he faked his way into investments. He faked his way as a professor. He was a con man of all sorts. I mean, he was an intelligent person.
No, he was. But the thing I'm leading to is
certainly that he's definitely, it seems now that he had help from the right people to get
Bankrolled.
into the right places, to be able to align himself with opportunities to make a lot of money.
People thought it was once a stretch because people have been talking about him and being an agent for a while now. Everything's just becoming more out in the open. But the next question is he being bankrolled by Israel? And if he is, what money is it that Israel's like? Whose money that Israel is getting were they giving to Epstein?
So what are your QAnon brothers saying in your forums and stuff?
No, a lot of people think that some of them.
You're on the QAnon forums, right?
Not QAnon, on some Telegram groups.
Oh, okay.
Now, again, this is all speculation right now.
Are you a non?
No.
Okay.
I'm a roti. But a lot of people are speculating on some of these Telegram groups, political analysis, freelance. They believe that the money that they were getting the money that he was getting was directly from Israel. And who knows how much of that tax money that people given the United States, that Israel is bankrolling him with, right? Look, this has, for me, I don't know about you guys, I'm not as well versed as you guys in politics, but somebody who kind of understands how Mossad works based on a few writings, by way of deception, has this playbook in there of bringing in politicians, putting them and dangling things in front of them, thinking that this privacy would only be private, right? And then engaging in acts because they're powerful people and think that all human beings are scum and they could do whatever they want to human beings, and they're in this place of power where they thought that they can do anything and never get caught. Do you think that they thought that all this would be coming out? All these people that were on this island? Of course they didn't. Of course they didn't. They thought that everything was going to be safe here because this is the tactic, and this is what Epstein was known for, of making you believe that no one would ever find this out.
As long as you did what we told you.
Exactly. Right?
Yeah.
But now some of those people are dead, whatever the case is, but now they need these names to strong arm the United States into getting certain things done. Right? That's the theory of some of the people that believe that some parts of the war that need to continue, and we need to strong arm American politicians because we have them where we want them. Right? So it's so convoluted, it's crazy, it's fitna like beyond belief, it's dajjalic, it's satanic. But what if it's a very, very strong way of Israel strong arming America?
I mean, I just want to take a step back for a second on this. I mean, we're talking about these things, but the sheer evilness of all of this
and the feebleness,
like, to be able to say, okay, we're going to blackmail this person, we're going to move children around, we're going to make a contract with Disney and have children come snorkeling on the island. And then
check out this.
Yeah, that's what I was trying to say. I was saying earlier.
Netanyahu said to have offered Lewis. This is the Times of Israel.
Yeah, and this was...
What does the heading say? I can't read the headline.
So
Pollard was a spy who was engaged in... Remember we were talking about the the largest espionage operation against America. That was the guy. He was caught in America. He was incarcerated here. And Netanyahu was trying to, at that time, he wasn't prime minister at the time. But anyways, they were trying to find ways to get him free. And they had tried to use threatened to use the
new critical book on the Clinton family claims that Israel tapped White House phones, blackmailed president with recordings of intern. Wow.
Yeah, and Ehud Barak, by the way, visited the island like 12 times.
That's
a dozen
2014.
times.
Yeah,
it's crazy.
And his mansion in New York City.
Yeah, and
they got pictures of the guy walking with his face covered with a scarf.
No, and supposedly Epstein. I was listening to another podcast. It may have been the PBD podcast, and one of Trump's attorneys was on there for the Mar-a-Lago incident and the insurrection incident, and supposedly there's like video footage of Ehud Barak with like little girls and all that kind of stuff, like doing the acts.
I wouldn't doubt it.
Yeah. So why throw Ehud Barak under the bus? Why would that happen, guys? So that kind of like shows you the Mossad's relationship with Ehud Barak too. You know what I'm saying?
Well, I don't know if Mossad was planning for this to come out.
No, I think Mossad was the one responsible for releasing this stuff. What do you think?
And what would be the benefit of that?
What would be the benefit? It's because you have Alan Dershowitz in there.
Who
defends Zionism.
He defends Zionism, but why wouldn't? In my mind, why wouldn't they? Because they need America to get back to the plate.
No, but you have to establish motive, right? What would be the benefit of exposing the fact that the Mossad has been blackmailing people? How does that benefit the Mossad?
How does it benefit the Mossad?
By exposing the fact that they're controlling people?
Of course.
How does that benefit them?
It's in the sense that, hey, we're going with this all the way.
No, because now they've lost it. They can't do that anymore.
Yeah, because once you took that leverage away from them,
then no one's gonna talk to you. No one's gonna trust you.
Wait, who? When you say no one's gonna talk to you, who are you referring to?
I'm saying, look, if Mossad is leaking out this stuff and they're saying that, hey, look, we are blackmailing people, right? Other influential people are going to be reluctant to deal with Israelis and Jews because they could be blackmailed by Mossad. They would blow their own cover. What would be the incentive in them leaking this out?
Okay, let me backtrack. I know what you're saying. Number one, who was the one who actually leaked all this information?
So it's not just one person. There were a bunch of girls that came forward.
These are testimonies.
No, I know these are testimonies.
Yeah, testimonies of women, girls that were abused.
But
this is not a leak, by the way. This was released by the court.
Yeah,
okay,
meaning
no,
just,
some of the information in it's released. But
1 second. Epstein was brought forth, was on trial, died before he could do it. Ghislaine Maxwell now has to go to court.
Yeah.
During that process, evidence was brought forward. This evidence was brought forth by the victims of this.
Yes. By the way, those victims, that the people that came forward, they were actually paid like millions of dollars to hush hush, right? So the thing is that now the dilemma is that, what's that contract called? The NDA, but it's like different when it's in this situation. It's a type of NDA. I forgot what it's called legally. But that contract, if it takes place, right, and they were meant to stay hush, then why did they come out now?
Well, when it comes to criminality and like prostitution and child exploitation, those contracts mean nothing.
I understand that, but
yeah.
now, so
keep in mind that there was an investigation not just by abuse victims, but they actually seized material, hard drives, laptops. Like we said, Epstein liked to record a lot of stuff. There are recordings. There's audio,
who seized
video.
That's what I'm trying to understand. Who seized all this?
Government authorities. They invested in this investigation. It's a joint effort.
I understand that.
British intelligence and American intelligence, they had to seize information. Epstein Island, properties in England, properties in America.
So this is my question now. Look, so then that would affect I get what you're saying, but why would the authorities...
Sheikh, sometimes things can't be contained. So what happens is, Zionism and even the Mossad might have a level of influence in American society and how things function, but they can't control every single facet or every gear that is functioning in American society.
That's true.
So things that are naturally supposed to happen as a consequence of laws and regulations and the Freedom of Information Act and stuff like that, those have to play out the way they did. I think what you're seeing as a result of something like this is a result of something that just couldn't be contained.
Out of control.
It couldn't be contained anymore, and they lost control of it.
Yeah.
And
so did you guys get a chance to read up on sorry to cut you off, bro.
No.
This is still related, but as far as Epstein killing himself.
Yeah, I don't think that happened. I think he was murdered.
I think he was murdered too.
Yeah, of course. I mean, you'd have to have half a brain cell if you believe actually.
So who do you think? No, who do you think?
Himself.
No, but who do you think murdered him?
Good question.
No, they're just powerful individuals who were that he had at least evidence of information, or even if it was just in his head, that they didn't want him to talk, and they need to make an example of him to show to Ghislaine Maxwell that, hey, look what happened as a result to him.
That's the kicker.
You better make sure you serve out your 20 years in prison, and we'll make sure that...
But she's going to be on the stand now. What do you think is going to happen to her?
I think she's going to be quiet. I think she's...
Yeah, she can plead the fifth.
Yeah.
Yeah, but the point being,
or do
though,
you
is
think
that...
she's not going to be alive?
No, the point being is that, well, she's already been sentenced, I think. She's got 20 years.
She got 20 years.
No, I know she did, but I'm saying...
this is her testimony is done. This is just everything coming out now from subsequent investigations after this information's come out. They're opening other investigations into who's involved, what other criminal entities are involved, what other high-profile individuals have been using their power and their authority to abuse people, because they couldn't have done this in a vacuum, right? People were obviously... They got this information because people who in high profile positions were willing to dance with them.
But see, this is my issue now. How far can they go with being completely transparent with throwing all these people under the bus? Because there's so many people that can possibly be in the judicial system in this. Like, who's going to be the one that's not on a side? Somebody's always on a side, right? There's always people on sides in all of this. How much are they willing to go through with this? Because somebody's going to have to throw one of their own people under the bus to lose all the... Like, people have already lost their trust in so much of America.
Yeah, but that's the beauty of it. Because each side wants the other side to be exposed. So they're going to fight to get it out. Let them duke it out. Like let's say in one scenario, the Republicans want to expose the Democrats, Joe Biden. The Democrats want to expose the Republicans, like Donald Trump.
But the crazy thing is, look, we even know this from the Quran, that when fahisha gets to a crazy level, that's when Allah destroys the people, right? Is this the level of fahisha because all the influential people, or so many influential people, are involved? Is this the thing that brings so much mistrust that it just goes into ultimate chaos?
It could be, but I'm saying these horrendous acts are not uncommon in America. I think the shocker is that you have people that used their positions of authority and power to be able to get away with it for longer. But there's no mistake that America has a problem with pedophilia and sex trafficking and drugs and blackmail, espionage. I mean, these
even
are
something as innocent as Disney is involved in this, bro.
Yeah, I mean, but you're saying innocent as Disney, but is Disney really innocent?
No, it's not. People think it is.
Yeah,
they have the perception.
I'm saying this is like, dude. I think I'm gonna go back to what Sim said. This is just one branch, one avenue of a large problem.
Yeah,
we're just touching the iceberg with this part.
Yeah.
He's just one little area of the whole problem.
So that's what I'm saying, though. Look, if this is just, let's just say this is scratching the surface. Imagine if this goes deeper, how distraught and how much chaos can...
Well, it may not even go any deeper with him. But what we're saying, though, is that this is just one area, just one example of millions of examples of people.
That's crazy.
You don't think there's other people within the government or very wealthy people that do all kinds of weird stuff like that? Of course there are.
Yeah.
Right? And this is putting them on notice that, hey, these things can and will eventually come out. And when they do, there's hell to pay for it. It's just, that's really what it is. And some people are willing, and here's the crazy part. Some people who do that are still willing to take that risk because the immediate short-term gain is all they care about.
Yeah.
The devil makes you believe that you'll never get caught.
Yeah, dude. Did you guys end up, and it's still related to this, did you guys watch the Jimmy Dore show with Alex Jones?
No.
I saw a little bit
I think you guys should actually watch it.
What exactly popped out from
that? And obviously he was talking about the Epstein. Look, a lot of the stuff that dude says is crazy and loony, right? And he was talking about like all these ayahuasca camps and all this. Like he got into it towards the end of that. And he is a believer...
Who, Alex?
Alex Jones. Look, but there's so many things that they retracted that he was right about a lot of this stuff.
But see, here's my thing. I think Alex is a flip-flopper. And, like, he'll talk about, like, his stuff, and then he'll go into how much he hates Hitler, right? Like, it's... And don't forget his wife is Jewish, right? And his daughters are too, right? So you notice how he has these bipolar moments where he'll start talking about these things, and all of a sudden... Oh, I hate Hitler. Hitler was an evil man. Oh, right. Like, who are you trying to appeal to? Like, what's going on?
I think
here?
you guys should watch it, and I think we should talk about it later. But
I think he's a buffoon, bro.
No, I don't. I think he has some buffoonery in him.
He has. But I'm saying the
freaking,
information that he has is from all of these subforums. It's out there. You don't need Alex Jones to tell you this stuff, right? He's just a very good mouthpiece for it.
He is for sure. Yeah, he is for sure.
Like Reddit and all these places are full of like information like this. There's corners of the internet.
And the reason I'm saying is some of the stuff you talked about are some of the other tentacles which I think are going to be exploited too.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot. I mean, especially when you start talking about the involvement in the Ukraine and you know, the whole issue in the Middle East with why Saudi has alliances and all kinds of things like this. ISIS coming up, or all kinds of things like this that we look at, right? Why this leftist agenda is so strong, why they're trying to take guns, why they're trying to force this population to not have children, shun ideas of marriage. There's a lot of things, but these are extensions of, and I think I'm gonna go back to what Sim says, man. This is just a larger demonic plan that is there. It's in motion, and either some people are doing their part and they're gonna get caught, and some are just in the sideline.
And do you
right
think
now,
this is one of these things that people are going to forget about?
No.
It's not going to take like a year or two.
No,
to forget they're not.
no,
Right?
no. I think it's too. It's not that it's unbelievable. It's just too many important people.
Yeah, it's no longer a conspiracy theory anymore.
Even if it's a conspiracy, I'm saying the number of people that are number of high-profile individuals that are on the connections you can't forget. Oh, well, this person was supposed to be conservative or liberal or Democrat or whatever, but yet they're all connected to this people. Like, you can't unconnect those dots, right? You can forget about the incidences, but you can't unconnect the dot of elite people that are doing weird stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, man.
Yeah. Folks, we're going to be releasing some of our own backlogged episodes from previous ICNA event that happened 6 months ago. Someone was kind enough to give us some tools and tips to fix some of the recording problems that we had from that, and I was able to reprocess that. It will only be in audio format, so if you're not already subscribed on something like Spotify or iTunes, make sure you check that out this week. There's a couple great episodes with Imam Siraj Wahaj, Tom Fashini. So
who's the other brother from Michigan?
I forgot his name.
And the other brother Hamza, the Qari, reciter.
Hamza al-Habashi.
I think that Hamza. I think that was unsalvageable.
That was such a great episode,
Yeah,
man.
we can get him back.
Who was the imam from Michigan? The young brother.
I'm trying to
You
remember.
know what I'm talking about?
From Michigan? No.
Remember we did he had slick back hair?
Oh yes.
That was a great interview.
Yeah, no, he's a good dude. Yeah, really good dude.
I think he's Phil Al-Maghrib, I think.
Yeah,
maybe?
he's affiliated with.
Forgot his name.
Oh yeah, I'll remember.
You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, I know exactly who you're talking about.
Anyways, I forgot. Yeah,
Good dude.
but it was a
Really
great
good
episode. I hope that one's salvageable.
Yeah.
After those backlogged. One thing I wanted to ask you guys: are you guys actually contemplating going to the protest on January 13th?
Unfortunately, I can't make it to it. Sheikh, are you going?
No, I was really considering it, like thinking about it, but
I would have loved to. I was thinking about going,
going.
but I got so much going on right now with my dad. And I just
For listeners, please make sure you keep Mort's dad in your duas.
Yeah, inshallah.
Great man. Just so many memories with him, and he's always just, despite how delinquent we were, he always allowed us into Mort's house, and just incredible
Morty.
man.
Good old Morty.
Yeah, man. Guys, make sure you throw a comment in the comment section below. Like the episode if you haven't done so already. That's our show for this evening. We'll see y'all next time. Assalamu alaikum.
Assalamu alaikum.
Alaikum.